To mute myself.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Lone Star Dowsers July 2021 meeting. And we are in for a treat tonight. We have the amazing Angela Treat Lyon, and she has a very impressive resume, which in the newsletter that went out has more detail, and she even cut it down that. So I'll just give you some highlights because she's very impressive. Now, Angela is an artist. She has been an artist since she was a child. She has been an art director in San Francisco. She's been a studio potter. She does sculptures mostly in stone. She does beautiful paintings. I think we can probably see some in her office. She illustrates, she does book design and publishing. She does fabric and other surface designs for bigger pictures. So she's an amazing artist. And that's actually one of the ways she started with her dowsings, which she'll tell us later. Angela got involved with, I guess, a dowsing group, and she learned how to use dowsing. She also studied with Walt Woods, so that's pretty amazing. You may have to talk about that, Angela. And so she has just used dowsing for everything. A dowsing rod, she does pendulums. I know she does muscle testing. And that's what we're really going to talk about tonight, is the versatility of dowsing. She also found EFT, which eliminated, she was able to overcome a 35-year depression and suicidal thinking very quickly. So she's a practitioner. She uses that in her coaching to help other people. She knows that everything is energy, right? And she specializes in helping entrepreneurs and small business owners, authors, artists. She wants people to expand and enhance their business. So she just uses lots of dowsing, and she does percentage dowsing. And she's got some great exercises that we're going to be able to go through. She has all sorts of special things in store for us tonight. So welcome, Angela. Very happy that you're here.
Thank you. That's really kind of you to ask me to come. I'm really delighted. It's been a while since I've been on a show of any kind. So, this is my 2021 virgin opening here.
Well, I feel honored that we're able to, Lone Star is able to connect with California and tap into your genius. So,
Oh, thank you. It's always
well,
nice to be called a genius,
oh yeah. Well, the way that you use dowsing, I've never even heard of folks doing that. So I'm fascinated by that, and that's one of the things we really like to share with our members, are just the way that people are using dowsing, because there's really no end to our creativity. It's how do you use it? What works for you? So let's just dive in. You want to tell us how you got started?
Well, sure. I'd be delighted to. I actually started dowsing many, many, many years ago, maybe in the 70s, using a pendulum. And I never thought of using dowsing rods, because I was limited thinking, I'm not looking for water, that's the water witching way of doing it, right? And then a friend of mine turned me on to how she was using dowsing rods for doing different things. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And at that time, this was early 90s, I think. And I was living in New Mexico, and Walt Wood and a bunch of others had a dowsing weekend down in Las Cruces, something like that. I can't remember. It was a retreat center. And so I thought, oh, that would be really fun to go to. So I went, and one of the first classes over the weekend was how to use a dowsing rod. Well, I bought my little dowsing rods. I mean, they're like this long, so that, they go wang, wang, wang out in front of you, and there's two of them. I could not get those things to work to save my life. It was so frustrating. I spent 45 minutes with everybody else going, oh yeah, this is really neat. And mine are just kind of going, we don't care. And finally, Walt came up to me and put his hand on my shoulder and said, go ahead and try it now. And sure enough, boy, they just did the thing perfectly. And from then on, I was able to dowse. And to me, that was a real indication of uh, the importance of intention and belief, because I didn't believe that it would work for me. And my intention was to dowse, but I didn't really even know why I was dowsing, because I really didn't have any reason to at the moment. And when he put his hand on my shoulder, there was no great energy exchange or anything like that, but it was just like he was saying, you've got permission now, you can do this.
Mm.
And so I was able to dowse from then on. And then um, the dowsing weekend had a little kind of flea marketish kind of thing where they were selling these little itty bitty dowsing rods. I don't know if you can
Mm-hmm.
see it. It's just this little bitty thing.
Kind of about the size of your finger and thumb. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just tiny. And what's really neat about it is that it has a copper tubing on the handle part. So I can squeeze it as much as I want and I can't affect it. So it'll do its thing, and I can sit here and go, no, you can't do that. And it'll move just the way it wants to move. And that weekend was just an eye opener for me. I learned so much. And I was disappointed that I couldn't go to all the classes. So I bought some cassette tapes and I brought them home and I was listening to them. And there was this one tape by a couple from Arkansas. They had real thick Arkansas accents, and they were talking about these power symbols. And I'm going, what's a power symbol? Well, I finally figured out that they were power symbols, and I'm thinking, darn, I can't see it. What's it look like? And just out of the blue, I had this idea. Well, I wonder if I could get the dowsing rod to show me the lines of the symbol, because it sounded really simple. And so I held my dowsing rod and I said, okay, show me the lines of the symbol. And I held it over a piece of paper and it just kind of went blah, 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 all over the place. And I said, no, you got to stay within the bounds of the paper. And I drew a square on the paper and I said, you got to stay within that. And so sure enough, as I went over the paper, it moved and showed me uh, several lines, and I followed the lines with a pencil. And all it was the square with a few triangles within it. It just very, very simple. And then uh, I held it over my paint box and I said, okay, well, what colors are in it? I didn't even know if it was colored, but I wanted to color it. And so it showed me there was red here and there's blue here and there was a darker blue here. So I colored them in. I don't have it anymore, I don't think, but
That very first one.
yeah, it's too bad because it was so simple and so nice. Maybe I'll see if I can dredge it up and we can make it available to people afterwards. But that was the beginning of my learning how to dowse for other things than geopathic stress zone or finding water or the usual things that people dowse for. And over that weekend, the one huge takeaway that I got was you just can't do yes no dowsing and be accurate. And the example that we were given was you can ask your dowsing rod, um, this is neutral position. Here's no, and here's yes. Does my car need gas? And it'll go, yes, of course. Well, the thing that you didn't ask was, does it need gas now?
Right.
And how much does it need? And so it got me thinking. I thought, okay, I'm asking all these yes no questions. What if uh, my question is a yes, but it's a qualified yes? For instance, am I allergic to peanut butter? No. Okay, that's fine. Am I allergic to gluten? Yes. Well, how much am I allergic to it? How much does it affect my system? And it'll go, not too much, really. So if you're using dowsing to do yes, no, get yes, no answers on your medical situation, you got to be really careful about that, because you could get a yes that could get you in real big trouble, or not alert you to something that would be trouble. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that it's really kind of incomplete information.
Exactly. Exactly. What you don't know can hurt you. So that was really the beginning of my learning how to douse for things that was other than the usual stuff. And one of the stories that I want to tell you about Walt Wood, he was an amazing man. He could douse like crazy. He lived up Grass Valley, someplace in the woods in Northern California, I believe. And he told us the story about how he had built um, an 8-foot fence all the way around his property to keep the deer out. He said that he was going on a walk one day, and he'd gone through the gate to go down the hill, and he did his walk, and he'd come back in, and he was just closing the gate to come back in, and he looks over, and there was a deer morphing through the fence, not going over it, but through it. He said that was when he really got the nature of everything is energy, and that intention is king. That if you have the intention to do something, by golly, you're going to do it, and nothing's going to get in your way. So he ended up taking the fence down. And this is what I remember. I could be wrong about this. He took the fence down, and then he had a conversation with the spirit of the deer, saying, look, I'm growing all these fruits and vegetables. They're for my family. I'll put in some for you, but don't get to the stuff that's for my family. And from then on, they didn't. So
Wow, just
that,
shows you how we need to communicate and cooperate with nature.
yeah, yeah, he was a hell of a guy. That was so. I wanted to talk about the versatility of dowsing, because obviously I'm not going to go into the store and use my dowsing rod to pick out supplements, because it's just too weird looking. So I wanted to
There's
talk.
that crazy lady again.
Yeah, I did do it for a while, but it was like, it was a little weird. So I wanted to talk about the different types of dowsing that you can do that are inconspicuous. And one of the first time that I learned it's called the stick, where you rub your thumb and finger together like this. And I don't know if you can hear it or not, but there's no sound, right?
Right.
That's because my thumb and my finger are slippery. So that's a no. I say to my fingers, this is a no, and this is a yes, where it sticks. You've got to program your system. And so a yes is squeaky. My hands are all sweaty because it's so hot today, so I don't think they're going to squeak. I don't think you can hear that. But so when you're at the store and you're looking at this supplement that you think would be good for you, you don't just go, is this good for me? Because it might be good for you, but only 1%, right?
Right.
So first you say, is it good for my system? And if you get a yes, you say, okay, how much is it good for me? Is it 100% good for me? No. Okay, is it over 90%? No. Is it over 85%? Yes. Okay. So then you can decide whether or not to get that product. And if it says, my rule for myself is, if anything under 50%, forget it. I won't even bother with it.
Ah, okay.
So because it's, why?
Waste the money. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So did you program your fingers that your yes is the sticky and your no is the smooth?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
So I guess each person can kind of qualify what that is for them.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
some people like the slidey for the yes. You,
Right.
you know.
Right. Right.
And then there is this kind, where you press down with your.
Yeah. Yeah. Your
I have
fingers.
never been able to do that because I just don't trust my hands are really strong from carving. So I don't know whether I'm pressing down on it or that's me or what. So I don't use that kind. I have a friend who's a master at it, and she's just amazing. She'll go, "Dit, dit, 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 beep, beep, dit, dit, dit,
Hmm.
beep," but I don't use it. And then there's of course the pinky one where you test whether your finger goes through or not. And again, I had trouble
Like
with
this.
that
Yeah.
because my hands are so strong, but I thought, okay, I'm not going to try hard, and if it starts to slide, I'll allow it. So you don't hold it, and try really hard to get your finger through. You just allow it to slide through if that's what it wants to do. And if it doesn't slide through, it's just a really easy stop. And you can use any of the fingers, of course, you know.
Hmm.
So this would be a yes, and the slide through would be a no. And that's really easy to use in the store because you can just stand there with it, right in front of you and just go slide, slide, stick, stick, whatever.
I do the kind of the body dowsing to, yeah, I'll hold it and ask, but I have not asked, is this more than 50% beneficial for me?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna incorporate that now. Thank you.
Start with 100%.
Okay, it's 100% beneficial for
Yeah.
me.
Is this beneficial for my system?
Okay, my system.
Yeah.
Right.
And that brings me to a really important point. A lot of people say, well, who are you asking? Who is the one who's controlling the dowsing? And some people say God or the Great Spirit or energy or whatever. I don't really much care as long as it's got my highest intent in mind. So I'll say, okay, body, mind, spirit, higher self, combine that. And I go, okay, are you here? And I'll get a yes or a no. And if it's a no, that means I have to wait. It's not the proper time for me to be dowsing right then. So I'll wait. Is it time? Yes. Okay. So are you ready? And it kind of it grounds you into a reality of um, getting out of limited thinking. So I'll say, okay, let's go. And I'll say, is this beneficial for my system? Yes. Is it 100%? No. Okay. Is it over 90%? Yes. Okay. So then I know. And it makes it really easy to ask the right question about, whatever it is that you're dowsing for. It could be, shall I meet this guy at for a date? It could be, you know,
Is it beneficial for me to meet this person? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, really, because there are some people out there you don't want to hang out with, right?
It's always about the question, right? How to formulate the question, I think, is so important.
Absolutely. And that gets me to, um, people say, well, it only took you 6 weeks to eliminate your suicidal thinking. How did you do that?
How did you do that?
Well, I used a combination of dowsing and EFT. EFT, for people who don't know, is the emotional freedom techniques. It's a combination of different tools that you can use to change your energetic state. And
It's
it's,
also known as tapping,
yes, it's
if
better
people are
known as
familiar with
tapping.
tapping.
Right. Okay. And so when I met EFT, I knew that this was the key. This is what I'd been looking for so long, because it allowed me to change not only my thinking, but my energetic state. And I knew I needed to do that. I just didn't know how. And so over the 6 weeks from the beginning to when the suicidal thinking disappeared, I learned a lot about asking questions. My first question was, how come nobody wants to buy my work? And I said, is that true? No. And that brings me to perception, because it was my perception that people didn't want to buy my work. But it
Mm.
wasn't true. People did want to buy it, but I never asked them. I said, "Do you want to buy this?" I never asked them
Mm.
if they did or not. I never really made it available to people. They didn't even know it was there. So when you have a limiting belief, like people don't want to buy my work, you create evidence right in front of yourself that negates anything else. But if you ask a different question, instead of saying, "Why doesn't anybody want to buy my work?" you say, "Why am I in this position where I'm feeling so bad?" And my first, I ask these questions to myself all the time, and answers just come up to me. Uh, Other people have different ways of getting answers. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the human design system.
Yes.
Okay, so there's one particular type in that energy system. You have to lie down to get ideas, because for some reason the
Which one
portal.
is that?
uh, I don't. I think it's a generator, because that's what I
Okay.
am. I lie down to get ideas. Some people go in the shower. Some people take a drive. I lie down and take a nap. And ideas come to me. So when I get those ideas, I start asking about them, and I get yes or no answers, and then I do my percentage answers. So f down the line, I started making lists of things that I could ask questions about. And I came up with a chart that you guys will get afterwards, directions of how to make this chart. And it started out at first with um,
So let me just recap a minute. So, through your dowsing, you realized you needed to move beyond the yes and no questions
mhm.
and get more specific and work in percentages, and apply your things in different ways. So you created some shortcuts to help yourself, which are these charts.
Yes, and
Is
even
that
if you
right?
don't, even if you, it's correct. Thank you for a summation like that. It was very good. Um, Even if you don't have the chart with you, you can still do this, and I'll show you how in a second. This was the first chart, and if you've ever seen those arc things that you get in high school, uh,
Mm-hmm.
where it's
The
got the different
protractor type
degrees, the
things. Yeah.
protractor, yeah. So I just take my dowsing rod and I'll hold it over this, and it'll go to one of the angles, and those will be either, this can be anything from dollars and cents, it could be years, it could be light years, it could be kilometers, it could be inches, it could be um, degrees, how many degrees. This is ultimately totally flexible. And so you ask yourself, how beneficial is this to my system? And it'll go to 100, or maybe it'll go to 40, or whatever the answer is. So it's really helpful. And if you don't have your chart with you, you can use your hand, where you can go, this is 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. So okay, so you've got your dowsing rod, and you go, how beneficial is this to me? And it'll go all the way over to 100, or maybe it'll go to 30 or 40. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then if you don't have your dowsing rod with you, you can go, okay, uh, is it 10% here? And is it 20% here?
Oh, so you're doing your fingers to get the yes, no with
Yeah,
so
yeah,
just asking. Yeah.
yeah. So there's so many different ways that you can do it. Another way is, if you can't do the finger thing, if you can't do the pressure thing, if you can't do the dowsing rod, you sit down and put your knees together. This is such a cool one.
Oh,
You put,
okay.
you put your knees together with your
All
feet
right.
flat on the floor, and then you put your hands like this in the prayer position, and then you dive down between your knees and you push outwards. And if you can push your knees in, and they don't move when you ask the question, that's a yes. And then as you push outwards, and if it goes all the way out, that's a no. And then you can say, all right, is this beneficial to my system? Yes, but it's a little bit open. Well, okay, so is this 90%? No, 80, 75%, you know.
Okay, so let me just make sure that I'm following. So if your knees stay closed, that's a no.
No, that's a yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So the knees stay closed as a yes, and then
Yes.
if they open, it's a no.
Yeah,
So like it's the thing busting open. Is that right?
that's correct.
Okay, so closed is a yes and open is the no for the knees. And you've got your hands in the prayer position and you ask your question. Let's give us a question.
Okay, so let's see. Are we going to have fun on this show tonight? So I put my hands between my legs
Okay.
and my knees don't move. So yes, we're going to have fun, right?
Okay. So are you kind of resisting a little bit with your knees?
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, your knees are really, I mean, your legs are strong, right? So
Right.
you don't want to be putting a lot of pressure. And if they start to part, you don't want to stop them from parting. You just
Mm-hmm.
allow them to go apart and just go, wah, you know.
Wow. I bet if you got really practice at that, your knees would probably do it automatically without even your hands.
Well, actually, if you're really good at dowsing, you don't even need to use any tools at all.
Right. Because
You,
the
you
information
just,
just
you got,
comes.
yeah, yeah. I know a couple of people who douse for water, just, they know,
Wow.
you know. Oh,
Yeah.
that's another thing. Um, in the class that I took with Walt, he was talking about you can douse for water, but you've got to be careful because your dowsing rod will go right to the faucet, you know.
Oh, that is good. So I guess you have to be specific. Is there a underground water source that I can tap into? How would you word that?
Well, that's a good question. So you'd go outside
Right.
and you state what you want. So you want a water source that is um, easily accessible on your own land, and it doesn't, impinge on anybody else's land. There's no rock or anything between you and it. It's easily accessed. It's potable. It's all year round. Because there's some underground streams that aren't all year round. And questions like that where you go, okay, locate it between here and say that rock over there, or between here and a half mile, so that there's specifics that you can say where if there's, let's say there's two waterways here on your land and this one is down 500 feet under a layer of rock, your dowsing rod is not going to go there because you've already specified 300 feet above rock, right?
Right.
So that'll save you in drilling bills.
That's great way to chunk it down to be more accurate.
Yeah.
So
And you can also douse for electric lines and phone lines and stuff like that on your property that were buried that nobody knows is there anymore. You can walk around your land and see if there's anything that's buried there that could be dangerous if you dug.
right, right. Yeah, and I guess if somebody wanted to plant a garden, they could douse the land to see, I guess, is it, how would you word that? Is it appropriate to have a garden on this, property? And then the best location is, this direction or that
Yeah,
direction.
you would put together in your mind a picture of the kind of garden you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, okay, where's the best soil for this? And where is it the easiest to
Or
water?
what if it's not in your state? What if it's not in your we have to qualify
Well,
that one.
you'd have to say this is on my property, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then there's another thing you have to keep in mind, and that's geopathic stress zones. Do you know what those are?
I do, but would you explain it for
Sure.
all our viewers?
Yeah, a geopathic stress zone is an area that is fractured, there's two uh, there's two elements of land that are coming together, and they move together like this. And when they move together like this, the energy from that shoots up like a knife. You know, if you've ever driven in New Mexico, the land goes like this a lot. And oftentimes when you come down off of a hill, you'll see skid marks right there at the edge of the down curve. And it's because that particular area is where a geopathic stress zone is happening. And when you drive over it, it's very common for you to go do a split second non consciousness phase.
Oh.
And so a person will go into that phase and come out of it coming off the road. And so that's why you see the skid marks. And Walt told us to take that blue electrician's tape and put it across our dashboard because it neutralizes that geopathic knife cut. So you don't do the skid mark thing.
Wow. That's a great tip. So any kind of a blue electrical or painter's tape on your dashboard?
Yeah, this color right here, this electric blue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, a geopathic stress zone, if you've got it underneath your house, it can cause cancer, it can cause insomnia, it can cause stomach upset. If you've got an ailment that you can't figure out what's going on, douse for it and see if there's a geopathic stress zone underneath your bed or underneath your favorite chair, because it'll upset your physical energy and cause whatever is going on with you. You know, if you've got it underneath your bed, you may not be able to sleep at night, or you may be having arguments with your spouse that just come out of nowhere and you can't figure out why, and it's always in the bedroom, you know. So geopathic stress zones is serious business. You can prevent them by taking a piece of paper like this and you draw your house on it like this, and you douse, do I have a geopathic stress zone going through my house? And let's say you do, and it goes through like this. Well, you can draw a blue line around your house and intend for that to cut off the stress effect, and it'll literally go around your house and come out the other side.
Wow.
It's very powerful. You can really prevent a lot of bad stuff happening by doing that. And you can just go over your property and sit, you know, say, where do I have a geopathic stress zone that is harmful to me or my family? And if it's a yes, and it's more than 50%, then you chase after it and you neutralize it. And you can neutralize it by taking, if a piece of blue tape won't work around the foundation of your house, for instance, you can take a spike of an iron spike or a nail that's about, you know, what, 4 or 5 inches long, and stick it in the ground there, because it fractures it. It makes it go out in different directions instead of coming up straight like a knife.
Ah. Okay, wow. That's really great information. I'm taking notes as we're talking.
Yeah, that's great.
So, yeah. Wow, that's a powerful thing to know. That's wonderful. Okay, yeah. That's a very helpful tool. I forgot about the blue. That's so.
Now there's something else that I used. I'm trying to think of how it happened. In 2009, my gallbladder mutinied and decided that it wanted to kill me.
Uh-oh.
And I have a history of having a very sensitive stomach. You know, my emotions are right on the surface, and I feel things very deeply. And most of the time it's in my belly. And so when I started getting this pain, I thought, all right, this is a little different. What's going on here? And I used dowsing to find out what it was. You know, is this kidney stones? Is it liver? Is it appendix? What's going on here? And I finally came up with gallbladder. Gallbladder, yes, way over 90%. And so I was able to self-diagnose and get help before the thing ruptured. And I mean, I almost lost my life because of it. So it was a good thing that I figured it out.
That's a great thing. Yeah. I know people who've had body charts, and you can dowse,
Yes.
a body chart and ask those questions too.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's a lot about what this is too. Um, I don't know if you are going to be able to see this or not, but let's
you
see.
can share your screen. Oh, wow. That is a lot.
This is a lot, and this is, body parts and energy and friends and family and all kinds of stuff, and it's in that PDF I sent you that we can
Oh,
share
you
with.
laminated it. Wow. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, because for there's so many different causes of upset. Let me read you this one column.
Okay. I'm just going to show. So she's got multiple, I think
Oh,
there's
good.
5 sheets. So yeah, they're in nice, clear,
Yeah,
clean
we'll talk
format.
about we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So just one column. Molestation, beating, criticism, being laughed at, humiliation, being discouraged, boredom, confused, autistic, persecution, war, divorce, loneliness, isolation, shyness, panic, phobia, allergy, weakness, some kind of strain, car wreck, plane wreck. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can get upset, right?
Right.
Persecution, combat, conflict, impatience, emptiness, pregnancy, miscarriage, abortion, hard birth, loss, twin stress, twin death, diabetes, hypoglycemia. I feel ugly. I feel insecure. I'm ashamed. There's all kinds of stuff on here that you can say, okay, show me an indication of where to start, of where to ask questions about myself or my client so that I can help them change their limited thinking in order to get free of the fear and the doubt and the upset. Because ultimately, here's the reason why you want to know those things. You don't want to do it just so that you stop being angry or bitter or whatever. You want to do it because you want to reclaim your energy. Every time you're upset, you have a little bit of stuck energy in you. And when you resolve it, you're liberating that energy. And that energy can now go towards artwork or writing or dancing or um, good sex, all kinds of stuff that energy can go towards. So when you have a symptom of something, like you've got a stomach ache, you don't go, oh, I want to get rid of this stomach ache. Well, yeah, you do. But first, you want to ask yourself, what's this about? Am I being sensitive to something? Am I scared about going on stage? And why am I scared? Am I afraid somebody's going to laugh at me? Am I going to forget my lines? Am I going to look like a fool? And you tap through all of those things and resolve that until you've liberated the energy. And now you can go on stage and give your best performance. Oh, God, Simone Biles, the gal in
Mm-hmm.
Tokyo,
Mm-hmm.
that never should have happened. She should have had tapping. If she had tapping, she would never have had to do any of that stuff that she's been suffering. I read about her, with opting out of that whole thing, and I go, oh no, if I was there, I could help her through that. Oh, I just wanted to cry. That never should have happened. They should have an Olympic tapper in there helping every single team, you know, because there's so much pressure on those people. The anxiety and worrying about what people are going to think. And is my score going to be good? Is there going to be a rip in my pants? And, all of these different things that upset those people. If they had tapping, it'd be a whole nother experience.
Right. Not only do you have your own expectations, or your family or your coach, but you have your whole country, looking to you to be the champion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just crushed when I saw that. I just thought, oh, how can I get into the Olympics and help those people? Because it's just such a shame that she had to pull out like that.
Well, she's in Houston. We maybe need to reach out to her and say, hey,
Well, maybe maybe
between
maybe I'll have an invisible conversation and see if I can get the energy up to do that.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, because I know tapping really has made a lot of difference for a lot of people.
It's amazing. And the thing about it is that a lot of people will use it to quote unquote get rid of stuff. That's totally incorrect to use it like that. You want to use it to free up your energy. And when you start using it like that and looking at physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, mental symptoms, problems, all of those are not problems. All they are is indications that there's some stuck energy somewhere. And if you can look at it from that point of view, you can go, oh, this is great. I have a stomach ache. I wonder what this is about. I wonder what kind of energy I can harvest from this. You know,
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
yeah, it makes it so you can welcome these things rather than trying to push them away.
Well, so what do you think comes first, the emotion or the thought?
Um, there's a lot of back and forth about that. I would say the thought, because the emotion is energy moving, and the thought comes before the energy, the actual manifestation of the energy. I mean, emotion, energy, motion, right? Energy moving outwards. E before a word means outwards.
Hmm.
So emotion is the motion moving outwards from your body. So when you say I'm stuck or I'm so mad at so and so, you're expressing what you're thinking. And so without the thought, you wouldn't have that. Does that make sense?
Right. So if somebody's, yeah, having sadness, they've had a thought about something that I guess triggered the sadness. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of times this is where it gets kind of a little mushy, because uh, there may not be a clear verbal thought. There may be an impression. You know, for instance, many years ago, I was driving down a highway in Colorado, and a guy came out of a driveway on my right and just T-boned me, just blam. And you know, when I think back of that, there's no actual physical verbal thinking about it, but boy, I sure have an impression about it. And I was able to defuse the energy from that and not have it affect my, you know, my driving. You know, like I was afraid of driving for a while after that, but after I tapped on it, then I wasn't afraid of driving anymore, because I released the energy that was stuck in my system from the traumatic impact. So the thought may not have verbalness to it. Does that
right,
make
right. And sometimes maybe something happened when you're pre-verbal.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
like in the
So
womb or as an infant. Yeah,
correct that you don't have language or words yet. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Whew. So we can tap around that.
Well, so I'd like to know if anybody has any questions right now. Do you want to do that now, and then we can get? I'll show you some of the mandalas that I dowsed.
Yeah, and I would love to know kind of what other things are on your special chart. Um, you have these piano things. So yeah, if you have a question, put it in the chat for us, and I will let Angela know. So we'll give folks a few minutes. It's, you know, a little easier usually to put it in the chat.
I don't see anything.
We have lots of questions about what well, the
Oh, here we go. What is tapping?
okay, yeah, what is
Okay,
tapping?
that's a good question. Okay, tapping, the tapping we're referring to is not tap dancing. It's not tapping on the table with your fingers. It's using tapping on specific places on the head and the torso in order to stimulate energy centers that are part of the body. And
The
when you,
different meridians, right?
yeah,
The
yeah, well, I'm trying to stay away from using the meridian in case people don't know about it. So when you tap on these spots, it stimulates the energy in your system, and that's usually where the stuck energy is. And for instance, like I don't remember what they all are, but if you tap right here when you have a headache, it's amazing. It'll go away like in seconds. And if it isn't seconds, it'll be a minute. And if you've got a migraine where even that much touch hurts, you tap like this without even touching, because
so just almost energetically.
yeah, and you intend the tapping. So, okay, so the emotional freedom techniques is what tapping is. And as you can tell by the title, it is the freeing of your emotions. And you want to do that because you don't want to be ruled by your rage, or you don't want to be ruled by your bitterness or your resentment or even giddiness. You know, there's many types of emotions that you can be ruled by. You want to be the boss. You're the boss in your body. You're the boss of your life. And so if you've got something that's affecting you, you can actually tap on it and it will subside, neutralize, or even get expanded. And if it gets expanded, then you can ask questions about it and neutralize it. It is the single most powerful tool I've ever encountered. And boy, have I studied a lot of them. And
Yeah.
it allowed me to go from really heavy duty depression that I had experienced for 35 years, starting when I was 13, and having been raped and molested and seduced, um, and feeling like I was worth nothing and nobody loved me and it wasn't worth living. Life was a pain. I couldn't handle it. Something in me allowed me to survive as long as I did. But when I started tapping, I got deeper and deeper and started asking questions and tapping. And man, within 6 weeks, I didn't have a single suicidal thought, not even one.
That's
And
remarkable. Now, were you tapping for a certain amount of time a day or every day?
I
Or
tapped all day, every day.
if you thought about something, you just started tapping,
Yeah,
you know? Yeah.
yeah. I need to pee right now. You know, I need to go buy some bread. You know, whatever it was, I tapped because I knew that there was a lot of energy in my system that had no name. You know, it wasn't classified for anything, and it needed to come out because after 35 years, all of those rotten thoughts, you know, that were in there, they had to come out. And so I'd go, I don't know what I'm tapping for right now, but I feel like hell. I just don't want to live anymore. I can't stand it. Oh, that's not true. Come on, Angela. That's just BS. Of course you want to live. What you don't want anymore is the pain. And when I realized that, that was the key, because I thought I didn't want to live.
Really had to do about the pain. So, so there's a question: how many tappings on one spot? So, just kind of, is there like a certain number, or you just kind of tap till you feel like you're done with that spot, and then you
Oh,
move on?
let me take you through something, and you'll see.
Okay.
So I want you to pretend that you've got something that you don't like about your life.
Okay.
And so first of all, most people start here. This is called the karate chop point for some odd
Okay.
reason, right? And I like to start here because it's like, hello, body, I've got something I want to say to you. You know, it kind of wakes up your system.
Okay. And you guys that are watching, tap along. Think
Yeah.
about whatever's bothering you and just join us and tap along.
Yeah. I mean, not a whole big heavy thing, just something
Yeah.
light, like, you know, my dog did something or whatever. So let me see. Oh, I know what it is. I am really sensitive to the heat, and it's bloody hot here today. It's like 113 or something. And so even though I'm really affected by the heat, I can't stand it. I hate it. I sit here and sweat to death, you know. So I list all of the things I don't like. And you know, a lot of people say, "Well, aren't you just putting things that you don't like back into your mind?" Well, you wouldn't be able to say those things if they weren't in your mind already. And all you're doing is expressing.
So it's kind of like emptying the bucket.
Yeah, you're doing a mind dump,
Okay.
right? And so when you get to the point where you go, there's a little bit of a sigh, that means, okay, enough for this part right here. And then you start here, right? You got two eyebrows, right? And there's the end of an eyebrow on each side. So
Right.
you can either use two hands or one hand. You use 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 1 finger, doesn't matter. Just as long as you're stimulating that point right there at the end of your eyebrow.
Are you talking about the inside of the eyebrow or the outside?
We'll go there next.
Okay.
Okay, so you start here in the inside of the eyebrow.
Okay.
And then you go to the outside of the eyebrow, right on the bony ridge. There's a ridge, where you dip into your eye socket.
Mm-hmm.
Right on the ridge. Right. You come out
Right.
from your eye right there on the ridge. You go, God, I can't stand this heat. This is just so hot. I can't stand it. And then there's another bony ridge right here under your eye, and you feel a little bit, put pressure on it because you'll feel a little dip right in the right underneath your pupil. Can you feel the little dip in the bone?
Mm-hmm.
That's where you tap. Okay, so then you go, oh, I really don't like this. It's so hot. Damn, what am I going to do? I don't want to run my AC all day because it's so expensive. You just think about the things that you don't like. And then right here underneath your nose, you tap on here. I really don't like being so hot. It's just so uncomfortable. You see, already my system is shifting.
Mm-hmm.
Now you will experience a yawn, a fart, your stomach will grumble, all kinds of physical things can happen.
Clear your throat.
Or you clear your throat, which is very common for women. So then you go here to between your lip and your chin. You just go, oh, this damn heat! I can't stand it. It's costing me a fortune in AC bills, right? Now you got two collarbones, and they come down and they end right here. And you can either tap on both of them, or you can tap on one of them, or you can put your hand over both of them. There are 3 meridians that come up through this point right here. It's a very powerful point. If you can't tap anywhere else, tap right here or just hold your hand there. So tap there. And then the last point is under your arm, right about the middle of your bra strap. And if you're a man, about 4 inches down from your armpit. I'm assuming you don't wear a bra, right? So you tap there. And yes, you can visualize tapping. Like I was at the dentist one time and I couldn't do tapping, so I just visualized myself tapping and relieved myself of my needle fear. So that's how you tap. You just, very gently. It's about the same type of pressure that you would use to tap on the table if you were impatient. Can you hear this? I don't know if you can hear it.
We can't hear that, but yeah, but I think you got it. So until you kind of have like a little your body has like a little shift.
Yeah.
Then you move to the next.
Then you check. You see, am I still so upset about this? Like even right now, I feel a little bit cooler just because my body's evened out. I mean, you can do this as you're driving. Be careful with this, but you can do it if you really, really have to. Like I had a time when I was driving home at night and it was raining and it was scary, and I'm so scared. I'm afraid I'm going to go off the road. I don't know what I'm going to do. And blam, I was calm and I was able to drive through it. Or I'm falling asleep. I shouldn't be falling asleep right now, guys. There's nowhere to pull off the road. What am I going to do? Oh, okay, I'm a little bit more energized. I can get through this.
Yeah. So someone says if you were, I'm not quite sure what this means. If you're retracing, will tapping make the detox worse or better? So
what is retracing?
I'm not sure what that means, but does tapping affect a detox?
That's a good question. I think doing a detox, you've got to be pretty sensitive and careful about what you're doing with your body so that you don't overamp on the detox. It's really it's hard on your body to do a detox. And so if you're experiencing pain or discomfort from the detox, you got to ask yourself, why is that? Are you taking too much of the herbal remedy? Are you
Right.
not
Those are all good questions you can dowse on,
exactly?
right?
Exactly. So you got to ask those questions first. And then once you've got your answers, then you can tap, oh, I've got to remember to drink more water. I've got to remember not to drink coffee because coffee upsets my stomach or whatever it is, and that brings me to another thing is you can tap in good things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all about tapping on the bad things. It's also tapping in the good things, like, for instance, my big thing, how people have a thing that they always talk about or that they always worry about. Like I
Mm-hmm.
have a friend who's always talking about relationships, and I have another one who's always talking about her business. And my thing is money. And my litany was, I don't have enough money. Well, when I really thought about it, I've always had enough money. And even though it was only a little bit, I still always had enough. And so I had to change my thinking around my experience with money. And so I started asking, what is it I need to change about my thinking about money? Do I need to talk about being grateful? Do I need to talk about I've got enough, even though it isn't very much? I'm still paying my bills. You have a conversation with yourself and just tap as you go along. And then you can say something like, I'm open to receiving more. There's a tradition called Kebza, which came before Sufism, and they have an expression that goes, I have and I can have more.
I love that. I
So,
have, and I can have more.
and I can have more. And the word for it in their language is kana'at, Kana apostrophe at, kana'at. And it's, I have and I can have more. So I tap on this kana'at, kana'at, kana'at.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
And my money thing changed after I started doing that because I allowed myself to open to receiving more. You know, when we open to receiving more, piles of stuff comes in, not just money, but good things. If,
Abundance in all areas. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So I guess it would be really helpful to ask the question, will tapping on this, issue, um, you know, uh, be beneficial for me at this time, right?
yeah, yeah,
And then you can do a percentage, or is it better for me to do this in 30 minutes or or now or
yeah,
whatever? I
yeah.
guess you can just keep asking.
You could ask that. I don't think it's ever, in my experience, I don't think it's ever been not beneficial to tap. But if it's more beneficial to do something else in the moment, then maybe that's more important.
Well, maybe it'd be the question, yeah, do I tap on this feeling or do I tap on the resistance or yeah, I mean I guess you could figure I think tapping there's a flow, right? It's like we talked about that brain dump. Okay, let's see. We have a couple questions speaking about the importance of how hydration with dowsing, which is very important. And then Wendy, um, is dowsing basically like using a pendulum? Yeah, well, dowsing is using a pendulum,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you
it's
can
basically the same idea. I don't like using a pendulum because I get impatient with it. I don't want to sit there and wait for it to go back and forth. And I started choking up on it so that the chain was only about this long and it would go. But
Hannah Kroger sells a short stainless steel pendulum, which I like, and it and
I
it
would
it
choke.
goes
I choke up on
fast.
it even half of that.
Oh wow, wow, yeah.
So for me, using the stick is pretty much what I use now. And if my hands are sweaty or something, then I'll use this one
Hmm.
because I've learned to depend on them. I doubt this one, and there's a couple of them I can't do that don't work for me, but this one works all the time. So yes, it's just like pendulum.
Yeah, so I think everybody, that's the beauty of this, right? How do people use dowsing and what methods, right? So there's multiple kinds and we find what works for us and some work better in certain situations.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Using a pendulum on the protractor arc is really fantastic. I mean, you start, with this in the ready position, and you can ask a question, and that boy, that pendulum will just go, you know, it'll go right to the right place. It's amazing.
Jennifer says retracing is when your body is going back through and reliving a pain or a trauma to get you back to the state you were in before the trauma. I, I
Oh, okay. I understand now what you're saying. Have you ever heard of trauma buster technique?
No. Would you tell us?
Rihanna Webster developed it. She was an EFT practitioner in New Zealand, and she worked a lot with the prison system there. And then I think she was originally from Pakistan, and she goes there a lot to help women who've been stoned or who had acid thrown at them, and they're just totally traumatized. And within a weekend, she had them laughing and going back to daily life. And they started a new center there where she goes, Chitral, I think it is, and for women who didn't want to go back to their homes. And so she uses the system that she developed, combining EFT and NLP, where she would have people go back to the pain and all of the emotions and the words and the feelings and everything that were involved. And I guess you would call that retracing, where you go back to that state before you were traumatized. So yes, you can use EFT to do that, very definitely. You go through the pain, and instead of I'm thinking about how I mentioned before, when I was 13, my dentist decided that it was cool for him to have wandering hands. Let's just put it that way. And he got a little forceful in the end and raped me. And it, I'm thankful that he did, because he gave me a venereal disease. And if he hadn't, my mother never would have believed that he did what he did. And it was from that got him arrested and jailed. And nonetheless, that was what set me off on my depression and suicidal thinking. And when I applied EFT to that whole situation, it took me maybe 3 or 4 days to get through all of the aspects of it. And that's another word that
Wow.
you'll hear in EFT is aspects, because there was the time when the first time he put his hand on my leg. And then there was the time when he did this and did this and did this and said that. And if you tell anybody, I'll kill you, all of the different things that go together to make a long term. This is like a 6-month traumatizing period where you go through and you desensitize or you neutralize the energy in that situation, and you reclaim the energy. You reclaim all of the things that were in there that hurt you, and you can turn them around and say, now I've got this energy that I can use for creativity, because I'm not sitting here worrying whether somebody's going to attack me, or whether somebody's just going to want me for sex, or if somebody thinks that I'm not good enough, or I'm just a girl. All of those thoughts that get in the way of you and the dream that you have to create something beautiful. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. So is that the trauma busting technique or you use the tapping to go through that?
For me, I use the tapping because I didn't know Rihanna at that point. And I don't think she
Mhm.
developed it yet. I didn't meet her until several several years later. But EFT will do it just fine. It'll do
Wow.
it just fine. But if you want to look her up, it's Rahana Webster. Wait a minute. I think she goes by her maiden name now, Rahana Khan, Kahn. And her website is traumabusters.com.
Okay.
Something like that. You can Google her. She'll come up.
Okay. If you put in trauma busters.
And if you can't find her, email me. I'll connect you.
Okay. Okay. Wow. That sounds very powerful. You guys are asking some great questions.
Yeah.
I just, I love how this,
I know, it's great,
progresses. We just never know.
So somebody says, I'm interested in the yes, no question. Let's talk about that again, because it really is critical. I talked earlier about my gallbladder when it decided to mutiny on me.
Mm-hmm.
If I had asked the wrong questions, I'd be dead, really, because by the time my friend came to pick me up to go to the hospital, my lips were blue, my heartbeat was almost nothing. And when I got to the hospital, the doctors were saying, how come you're not dead yet? And it was because I was asking questions other than lying there going, oh, I hurt, because it's excruciating. And if you're in pain, it's hard to ask questions, but you have to get beyond suffering, which, here's a little side note for you. If you look up the word suffering, it does not necessarily mean pain. It simply means to go through something. Isn't that interesting?
That is very interesting.
It's one of the secondary definitions. So anyway, when I was lying there on the floor, rolled up in a ball because I couldn't move anywhere, I was asking myself, dowsing with my fingers, is this my liver? No. Is this a kidney stone? No, because it sounded, it felt like something that I'd heard about. Is this appendicitis? No, dummy, you've already had it out. Is this just food poisoning? No. Is this my gallbladder? Yes. And so I was immediately on the horn to my friend who was a doctor who came to pick me up and whisked me to the hospital where they yanked the thing out of me. So if I hadn't asked the right questions, I'd probably not be here today.
Yeah. Wow. So yes, good point. And thank you, Lisa. She put Rihanna Webster's site is traumabustertechnique.com.
Great. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. We got any other questions?
Oh, somebody asked about the importance of hydration. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Always have water with you. You do get dry, and not just while you're tapping, all day long. Drink water, but not too much. I have another doctor friend who says, the 8 glasses of water thing a day, it really depends on your system, because you can overamp on water and float your kidneys.
Okay, so how would we ask our bodies the amount of water it needs? Let's go through that.
Well, for instance, I wouldn't say an overall amount, because it's going to change every day.
Today.
Right? Yeah, today. So I would say, do I need water right now? Yes. Okay. Do I need to drink water right now? No. You see the difference?
I
need the water, but I don't need to drink it right now.
That's so interesting.
Isn't that far out?
Yeah. So why would you not need to drink that now?
Well, maybe.
Oh, needing water is generic, right? I mean, yeah, your body needs water.
Yeah, like my car needs gas. Right?
Okay. Right. Does the car need gas? Yes, it needs gas to drive. Yeah. Does my car need gas now? Yeah. Do I need to drink water now?
Now, there's something else I want to bring up, and it's part of the chart that I sent you.
Okay.
And that is sound. Yeah. So here's the little chart. It's a keyboard, essentially. And so there are a lot of people who are into sound healing.
Yes.
So I decided that, well, maybe I need to sing a note. How do I know what note to sing? Yeah.
I'm hearing somebody. Could you mute yourself?
That was cute.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Okay,
So,
well, yeah, talk more about the sound healing and dowsing.
well, I'll kind of go sideways on you here. There was a guy named Hans Jenny, Jenny is pronounced Jenny, who did a lot of testing with sound. He'd take a metal plate and cover it with a layer of sand, and then he'd run a violin bow across it. And as he did that, the vibrations from the bow would literally vibrate the sand, and the sand would make designs according to what note the violin bow played.
Yes.
It's fascinating. If you go to YouTube, you can find out all kinds of information about it. Sounds like you already know about it.
I do. There is a I can't think of the name of the diagnostic test, but it's like I think it's called voice bio, and you read a paragraph into this technology, and it will measure what you're high and what you're low on this particular notes, and they're very specific. Like they did a test on women who were in abusive relationships, and the women all had a particular missing note. They were very low, and their abusive partners were very high in that note. So, unless they were able to bring up that quotient of the note that they needed, then they went back. So, it's fascinating. It is
Whoa, that's
fascinating the information,
amazing.
isn't it?
Whoa.
Yeah,
That's like
yeah.
EMDR, where there's missing, with your eye movements, you skip over different places in your system, in your eyes. And
Oh.
it is this similar to color therapy? Probably. You could probably compare it to anything. Hans Jenny is Jenny.
So we would think it would be Jenny, but it's pronounced like a Y, but it's
Yeah,
Jenny.
yeah. It's
Okay.
um, God, my brain is just.
I know. Well, we've covered a bunch tonight. I'm going to talk about the sound and the color, because every sound, every note is associated with a color. And you might have this too, Angela, but synesthesia. I didn't realize that that was a thing for a long time, but I hear and feel color, right? So um, I can't translate that to sound for you, but I recognize when something's harmonious and disharmonious.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
And
So
it's a lot like perfect pitch, but it's different because it's an actual experience rather than a qualification,
yes,
you
yes.
know.
So talk more about your sound healing.
Okay, so when I first came across, I think it's called cymatics, and it's Cymatics, not S. Um, I think that's what it's called. I get those names mixed up. So when I first came across it, I thought, well, what if I needed a specific note that would help me bring my system into more fulfillment? And so I put together my little keyboard here because I'm familiar with the piano a little bit. I don't play, but I'm familiar with the keyboard. And so I just would douse, do I need to sing a particular note? And it would go uh, high C. So I would go onto Google, and you can Google play high C, and there would be there's a bunch of websites actually where they actually play the note that you're looking for. So
Yes.
so I would go to Google and I'd play the note and I would sing it, and I would sit here and I go la.
And how did you feel afterwards?
Well, I always laugh, so it always made me feel better. But you can see where in a healing situation or with a client or something like that, that would really come in handy to know what note that you needed to either express a feeling on, or to sing to them. There's so many uses for sound.
How would you phrase that question when you're dowsing with your adorable chart?
uh well, first I'd find out if it was beneficial for me to sing a note right now. I mean, something really simple, keep it simple. And then if it said yes, then I would go more than 50%, yeah, or 100%, yeah. So I said, okay, well, which note? I've stopped taking it so seriously unless it's a matter of life or death,
Hmm.
because it's just too much heaviness. We need to start lightening up and starting having more fun, you know?
Amen.
So I've kind of gotten into making puns and funny jokes and things like that with myself, and word play and whatever it takes to make me laugh, because I spent for so long being so serious and so doubtful and so resentful. And it takes a long time for you to come off of an identity. And that's something I wanted to talk about too. um, when you heal something, let's say that you heal your rage against somebody, that's fine. But there's more, because you have to heal the thinking that got you there and the thinking that you have immersed yourself in ever since you got there. And so for me, there was 35 years of suicidal thinking, right? And there was my stupid mother, she wouldn't blah, 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 or my dad did this. And you have to go through all of those little parts of your life that feel like digs or insults or criticisms. Like one of the things my parents used to say was, don't put your hair behind your ear, dear, because it'll make them stick out. And so I was convinced that my ears were like this. Well, hello, they're not. And so that was one of the things that I had to tap on was, the false messages that I received from parents, teachers, peers, instructors, whoever. And then I had to get to the point where, for God's sake, everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes. We don't know what we're saying to people when we're making the mistake. It might be the totally wrong thing to say to somebody. It's not our fault. It's not our fault. And so start forgiving people and start saying, thank you. Thank you for waking me up to the fact that there's energy in my system that's stuck, that I can reclaim and liberate and put into like an energy tank for later use, that I can use for painting or sculpture or for EFT or for dowsing or for just having fun. You need to lighten up and stop taking things so terribly, terribly serious. All these people are shooting people over these weird things, and people being entitled and hating each other. It's so unnecessary. We
Right.
can we could be having so much more fun.
That is just truth. I mean, I think we started by talking about everything is energy, but right when we're in pain, or I guess it's physical or emotional pain, it's really zapping our energy, right? It's taking our energy, it's giving it away, and then I guess by the tapping, we're able to reclaim that energy.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good point. When you're in pain, we're almost completely conditioned to blame somebody for it. We blame a virus, or we blame somebody for kicking us, or we blame something that happened to us. And so we end up being a victim.
Right.
But if we sit here and we go, well, all right, I'm hurting, and this is an indication that there's stuck energy in me. Maybe if I tap on this, I can help change that. And it helps you reclaim your sovereignty.
That's exactly what I was thinking. We were having a mind meld moment. Because over the last year, I think a lot of people have had a lot of feelings about what they couldn't do, and you know, have forgotten their sovereignty. Could we do a quick tap on the sovereignty?
Uh, Go into more about what you're thinking about it. I know what you
Uh,
mean, but go into more about it.
the Well, everywhere people give their power away to fear, or authority figures instead of allowing themselves to be, that tapping into their own inner divine inner authority,
Mm-hmm.
and their sovereignty of and being able to have choice, and that we're not victims. Um,
Okay. Well, I have some pretty specific feelings about what's going on in the world right now, and one of them is wearing masks. You won't catch me wearing a mask, and I don't go out of my house much, so it really doesn't matter to all those people who go, you're being irresponsible. Wearing a mask is dangerous for you because you're breathing in your outgas. It's, it, it's just such a simple thing. And I won't go into that, but it makes me feel less than to be ordered by my government to do something that's harmful to me. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people, maybe there's a few people here today who feel the same. Maybe you feel angry at me for saying that. It doesn't really
Not at
matter.
all.
Um, but the thing is that you're right. We have lost a lot of freedoms over the last year and a half from this whole situation. And I think that people, I think on the one hand, it's a bad thing. And on the other hand, it's a good thing because we're coming up against these things that we were pretty complacent about. Uh,
Absolutely.
and so it's bringing up, what is my dream and what's in my way? And how can I change the way I feel and the way I think in order to manifest my dream and in order to feel fulfilled? And so I think I would start with I'm feeling really frustrated that I'm being mandated to wear a mask, something like that.
Yeah.
Or um, I'm feeling angry because I can't get to the store without having a whole lot of hassle. Just the simple things that we take for granted
Right.
that we can't do because of all of this thing that's happening. And so then you would go deeper. Maybe this has to do with more than just this situation. Maybe I feel like just generally in life, I'm not feeling fulfilled and I'm kind of sliding along in life and not doing what I need to do in order to be fulfilled. That was one of the things that I came up with was, what am I doing and why am I doing it? And so I started a course on learning how to do a specific kind of design so that I could radiate more love into the world through
Mm.
my artwork. So that was one of the things that I tapped on was, I don't know what to do. That's very simple. I don't know what to do. And
I
so,
think this last year, a lot of people looked at what am I doing and what do I want to do? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And before this, we weren't really asking because it was a 9 to 5 grind or a daily grind that, we're doing something to pay the rent or to get by, and we weren't really paying attention. But this has really made us pay attention.
Right.
And so we'd start off with, I don't know what to do. I feel really frustrated and angry and upset and I don't know what to do. Please tell me what to do. Now, here's something that I do that really works for me. And I'm going to interrupt the tapping to tell you this. There's times that I get really upset that I don't know what to do. And I've tried this and I've tried that and I've tried the other, thinking that I was on the right track. And each time it was bam, it felt like I was on a dead end. And so my understanding is that we came through spirit. And so within that understanding, I will sit down and I'll get myself centered and I'll look up because I figure spirit's up, spirited. And I'll look up and I'll go, Spirit, you got me here. You get me out of this, whatever it is right now. And you give me a specific message. My intention is to add beauty through my artwork. You know that already. So you help me do it, or else I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to sit here like a lump and die. To hell with you. you know? And that's never happened that I didn't get an answer, never. And within, an hour to a day, I'll get a very, very specific answer as to what to do, or something will come up. Like that course that I told you I took, that came up within an hour. just
Oh,
came.
Walt Woods' course.
it,
Yeah.
it was a course on how to do surface pattern design with Bonnie
Mm.
Christine. And it came in the email, and I had never heard of her before. And I'm thinking, what is this? Oh, it looks kind of neat. And I started checking it out, and boy, I'll tell you, I signed up for it right away.
So
So
we have to
anyway,
be open to the signs and
oh,
the
you
things
absolutely have to be
around us.
open. But when you're sitting there and you're talking to spirit, you're open. You know, you're not going to sit there and go, well, tell me what to do, but I'm closed to the answer. You know, that wouldn't make much sense, right?
Right. Right. And I guess you can also, before you make your demand or your request or whatever it is, you can douse, am I open? Do I need to tap to be more clear around this? Right.
Yeah,
There's, you can
absolutely.
apply all that
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yeah. So you would continue, I'm so frustrated. I don't know what to do. Even my dowsing doesn't seem to work. I'm feeling frustrated until you get a sigh or yawn or whatever. And then you can be more clear to ask more questions. It's always the questions, you
It is
know.
always the questions. Yeah, that is so powerful. And you have such a great way of asking the questions. And I love all your charts. Would you, our time has flown by. Will you show, let's do the screen share. Will you show your beautiful mandalas that you made
Oh,
with your
right.
dowsing? I think
Yeah.
that's a beautiful way to, share. Unless
Okay.
somebody has any kind of a question, you can put it in the chat, but we're going to let Angela show her.
Well, let me give you a little background on the mandalas first. Um, I told you about the power symbols, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So after that, I decided, well, what would happen if I chose an energy that I wanted to a design to radiate, and I designed something that would radiate that energy and painted it and was able to hang it on the wall. And so I started doing this mandalas with that intention of, for instance, uh, let's make a mandala that would radiate the energy of calm, or everything is perfect, or divine time. And so I started doing this dowsing with following the lines. I know it sounds crazy, but I would look down on top of my dowsing rod as it was move, and as it would move, I would draw the line. And I'll show you that in a second. So that's the background on how these came about. And
I
I
love that you did it through your dowsing.
Okay, so this is, can you see this design here?
Yes, kind of a swirl.
Yeah, this was one of the very, very first ones that I did. The system was to take a piece of paper and put a circle, a square, and a rectangle and a triangle on it. And then I would say, does this design fit into one of these geometric shapes? And the dowsing rod would go to the circle or the square or whatever. And then I would take, let's say, a circle or a square, and I would fold it over in half. And then I would start moving my dowsing rod over the paper in that shape. And so this was the starting design for starting lines for the design protect. And so these are the traces of the lines of the dowsing rod. Okay.
Okay.
Now, this one here was one of the very, very first ones that I ever did. And I think it's really interesting that it's so feminine, because it looks like fallopian tubes.
It does.
And the name of
Or
it is
like the face of a bird.
a
Okay,
bird.
yeah.
Yeah. But essentially, what I did was trace these lines with the dowsing rod.
Mm,
This was a hell of a one to do, the spiral.
yeah.
And then I would unfold or I would put a piece of carbon paper in between the layers, and I would trace that design onto the other half of the circle so that I would have a full circle. And then I would use my dowsing rod to go over the paints. What color should I put in this space? Well, after doing maybe a dozen of those, I kind of got to know what colors to use, so I stopped doing that. And then this was calm. And here's the beginning of disappear. Oops. And I'll just go through them kind of slowly. This is everything is perfect. This was during a time when I was feeling particularly upset about some things. And my whole understanding after learning about dowsing and everything is energy and all that was, no matter what your perception is, everything is still perfect. Because, for instance, having been raped at the age of 13, it was perfect because I got to see a man who really deserved to go to jail. And I got support from my family finally that I'd been wanting for a long time. And there was a lot more to it, but everything is perfect, even though it looks really shitty right now. And you can see the brush marks on these where I painted them in. And this is gratitude because that's the basis of really feeling good. And
Beautiful.
I think it's really interesting how deep it looks, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like these different wells. And then there is interdimensional. This I
Wow.
love this one. You can really get lost in that one.
Yeah.
And then there's pink joy. This was one of the very first ones. I wanted something that would radiate joy. And then this one is I'm in the right place at the right time.
Mm. It's a great message we all need to be reminded of. Boy, that is very intricate, the sweetness. Wow. You doused all that out.
Yeah,
That's
look at
amazing.
that. That's I mean, these amaze me. I look at these and I go, I did that? That's pretty amazing. So there's plants just give me the world. I absolutely adore plants. So this was really right on for me. And then this one is awakening. This was the beginning of learning how to do the various layers of overlapping color, like around in here. See how they're overlapping?
Yeah.
I was learning how to do that. And then I
Boy, that
would,
is very intricate. Oh boy, the daring's amazing. To be able to, I guess you had to really ask a lot of questions. I mean, that's amazing. That was created through dowsing.
it was really hard because
Yeah,
I, I had a hard time with getting all of the gradations of the yellow so that they would show up against each other, like right in here.
right.
And then somebody gave me a chance at a computer, and I did this one. I like it, but I didn't like how mechanical it was because I didn't really know how to use it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked what I got with it. And then this one was, you can see all the different gradations of color. This this was really hard. They were
A
really
lot
hard to
of
do.
depth. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Divine time. We all need that.
And then there's freedom.
Freedom. Yes.
And it's all pixelated because it's a bad scan. Sorry about that. And this was another beginning. And see, I would draw them and they'd be kind of rough like this. And
Mm-hmm.
and then I would
Mm.
refine them and then do them in the different colors.
That's amazing.
Isn't it incredible?
It really is. I am fascinated, and I know we have a couple of artists on our call tonight. It's amazing.
Now this one, uh, let's see. I want you to look really carefully at this because on the one hand, it looks like some kind of a construction, like maybe walking into a tunnel of iron girders or something like that.
Wow, I immediately saw almost like an insect.
Well, look at this one. There's just a little bit of difference, but it's
Yes.
more refined. Can you see the toucans?
Yes. Yeah, I could see them on the first one. Yeah.
I didn't see those until today.
Oh, wow.
And it's been what, 20 years?
So it just keeps revealing things. Oh, what an incredible way to color that. That's amazing. Home.
And at the time when
Now
I
that
painted,
feels very galactic.
yeah, yeah, it is. At the time I painted it, I was homeless. I, s-
Mm,
I spent a year homeless in Santa Fe when I was living there. I had come back from visiting a friend and I could not find a place to stay to save my life. So I was living in my car. And finally, a friend of mine said, "Why don't you come stay with us? We'll give you our extra room." And so I went to stay with her, and this was the first one that I did.
mm,
And to me, it looks like, yeah, galactic. Like there's all kinds of space and room, and there's a place for me. It felt so good to do this design. And now, looking back at this one, seeing those toucans, because here's the back feather, here's the front of and the tail, and the two legs. I would paint that completely differently now.
yeah, yeah.
Isn't that
That's
interesting?
well, yeah. I could fast forward what home is home has evolved in the last 20 years. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this has really been incredible,
So there,
Angela.
there's a bunch more, but uh,
So
if
maybe we can pick a couple to share with our dowsers, or send one, maybe that
well,
we
the
can
the
douse and see.
the one that you will get is this one.
Source.
That's the PDF that I sent you, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to stop the share. I want to say that if you want to see more, you can go to AngelaTreatLyonArt.com, and I think I have all of them on there.
Yes. Let's see. The Okay, and somebody asked something. If you're subscribed to the Lone Star Dowsers email, that you got the link to this, then you'll get the replay, and we're going to include the Angela's wonderful charts, and we're going to include the mandala.
Good,
So along
good.
with the replay, so that'll probably come out um, probably early next week.
Okay, and I wanted to tell you, when you get the PDF with the chart on it, it's going to be uh, a page with this and a page with this, and then another page that has this and this on it. So you print out these two pages and then attach them, cut them out so that they're this shape, and then attach them at the midpoint. And then you take, or no, before you do that, you print out this on the back of one of those sheets if you can. And if you can't, you just attach it at the end. So that at the end, you'll have a big long thing that you can accordion out, and you can fold it up and carry it in your purse or your wallet or whatever. Does that? I
There you
hope that.
go.
I
Yeah,
hope. I
we
hope
can
that
take
makes
it.
sense.
Yes, yeah, or people can figure out the way that works for them. Let's see if you got the email from Angela, if she forwarded it to you. Down at the bottom, it'll say Emily, and she is our all things computer and email list goddess. So just send Emily an email and say, hey, I want to be on the Lone Star Dowsers email list, because once a month we have somebody fabulous like Angela, and we get to see how people use dowsing.
Very cool.
So,
Thank you for your comment about living in my car. It was quite an experience, I'll tell you.
well, yeah,
I wouldn't want to do it again unless it was on purpose.
right.
You know,
Well, this has been amazing, Angela. Thank you. We definitely covered an amazing range of things tonight, and you are very versatile in your use of dowsing, and the tapping was phenomenal. Lots of great tools for everybody. So thank you so much. I hope you had fun.
thank you. It's really been a lot of fun for me, and I appreciate your asking me to come on your show tonight. So thank you.
Well, we're thrilled that you did. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So we'll see you